Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as Man United players Bruno, Brandon Williams and Eriksen all speak out. Haters sit down, we're going to get into that. Obviously they're on international break, some of them, not all of them are international break. I actually find it quite interesting when you get a player talking out about what's going on. So, I know some people are moaning about it, and look, there's interesting aspects to it and we're going to get into it. I'm apologise for being a little bit late, and I mean a little bit late, 15 minutes late, that's bad. That is bad, but there's a good reason for it, as I'm sure many of you are aware on Twitter. I was a little bit late because I was trying to sort some stuff out, responding to stuff in relation to a new job, a temporary job I've got on Saturday. Hugs win on the Sidemen match, Mark, congratulations, I'll be watching. Oh, so Daniels have revealed it already. I am the manager for the YouTube All-Stars against the Sidemen on Saturday. We're the underdogs. We are the underdogs. It's the Sidemen charity match, and obviously, the Sidemen do everything well, so I think they're going to be a good team. But it'll be interesting. Goldbridge on the dugout. Not been in there for a while. For anyone who used to watch me in the dugout, it can get quite interesting. Could get a red card myself, who knows, we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a bit of fun. It's all for charity, so I'm looking forward to that, but that's kept me busy a little bit. Let's get into the show. I want to get some of your questions going in a little bit, but we did cover some of Bruno's comments this morning, and there were some more that I didn't cover about Ronaldo, also Christian Eriksen spoken, but I suppose the most controversial comments of the day have come from somebody that really shouldn't even be at the club. He was up for sale in the summer, he got an injury, he's still here. Brandon Williams, I think he was at a boxing event on the weekend, and he's spoken to the sportsman, and he's spoken quite frankly. Some people said that, well, I'm not going to comment on, whether he'd had a drink or anything like that, because we don't know that, but he certainly spoke freely. Not too sure whether the club would be totally happy about it. I'm quite happy about it. I mean, sometimes getting these players be real instead of having somebody in their ear exposes the truth. And Mark will get fed up and sub himself on at half-time, says Joshua Bellwater. What style of play are you going to play? Well, we'll talk about that in a bit, Nathan, because I want to talk about Manchester United here. So I want to talk about... So this is what Brandon Williams said. I suppose some people might not have heard it. This is a direct quote from him. He was asked about Harry Maguire, and he said, "People don't listen to the outside world. Harry will go into training 100% every day. Harry will give, whether he's starting the game, whether he's not starting the game, 100%. We don't care about the outside world because the only thing that matters is the opinions on the inside. The opinions on the inside are the most important. If you're doing well in training, who's some little idiot sat on Twitter that's going to tell you that you shouldn't be starting a game? Who is he? I genuinely don't get it. Harry is a top fella, top captain, top player. He'll have a great career. He's already had a great career. He's on stepping stones and he'll get to the top where he wants to be. He's already at the top. He's captain of Manchester United. I dream to be that one day, and he's already done it." So look. So, some of it's a bit contradictory. What does it say? Harry's a top fella and a top player. He'll have a great career. He's already had a great career. He's on stepping stones and he'll get to the top. He's already at the top. He's captain of Manchester United. So he contradicted himself a little bit there. But look, he's spoken freely. And first of all, I don't think, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, it's very rare that we get players who speak freely like that in a public arena where they've got no, PR person telling them what to say. Some people are saying it's absolute rubbish. Well done on the Sidemen match. Chuffed for you. Look, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I've even had people saying he's saying it about me. I don't think he's saying it. Well, maybe he's saying it about me. Name me if you want to, but he's not saying it about me, is he? He's saying it's about Twitter, football Twitter in general, and people who have opinions. It's very distinctive what he says. He said, if you're doing well in training, well, who's some little idiot sat on Twitter that's going to tell you that you shouldn't be starting a game? I mean, effectively, I get it. I think you have to have that mentality. You have to have a siege mentality, and I think that's what he's talking about. So I wouldn't take it personally if you were a fan, because ultimately, maybe the wording of it's wrong, but you do need to have that siege mentality. You do need to not take any notice of outside noise. I mean, to be honest, it sounds like that he is taking notice of outside noise, to be honest, because you're sort of feeding the troll in many ways, because you're sort of saying that you do take notice of what's going on Twitter, because you're saying these idiots on Twitter. So you must be aware of it or be told about it or see it. So in a way, you've sort of bitten against them. The best thing to do is just say, And he did in a way, is we don't take any notice of it. All that matters is what the manager says, and the manager picks the team, and that's what matters, not what anybody outside says. Because the problem with that is, and I've seen some reaction to it on Twitter, and I would say to people, don't react that way. But what does I say or you say going to make any difference? But it's a Manchester United player at the end of the day, and we want to get rid of this toxicity of not liking and getting on with players. The point I would say is that when a player says, who are these idiots on Twitter, saying a player shouldn't be picked or not, well, it doesn't matter whether it's Twitter or the terrace. I've been at Man United in the early noughties when people are shouting, sub this player, why is he starting? That's football. Football fans have always had opinions about players and who should play and who shouldn't play. It's got nothing to do with bloody Twitter. That's just the way it is. So it's quite naive to say, who are these people on Twitter? We don't take any notice of them. Because you all take notice of them when you've got a brand deal to do, haven't you? You all take notice of them when you're doing your winning team pictures. You all take notice of them when it's something positive. So, the modern footballer and the modern Manchester United player completely and utterly take notice of the fans when they need to sell a brand or a trainer or something like that. So, if you want the sunshine, you've got to put up with the rain. And again, you can't just say, oh, they're all idiots and this, that and the other. You're antagonising your own fan base. That's probably not the right thing to say. I think, but ultimately, who knows if he'd had a drink or not? Who knows what mood he was in? The reality is, I think the strong message is that the players are just focused on themselves on the inside. And that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So I wouldn't focus on the negative, because ultimately there's stuff in there that doesn't make sense. He's going to have a good career. He's had a good career. It's a stepping stone. He's already there. We don't take notice of idiots on Twitter saying that we shouldn't play because it's up to us what happens in training. Well, that's correct. But as I said, you can't pick and choose when you want to take notice of social media or not. And actually, it was the away fans who are the life and soul of this football club who were singing "You're not fit to wear" to the shirt to those players last year. So are they idiots? You can't pick and choose who the people are whose opinions that matter, because ultimately we are on the first day of a rebuild at Manchester United. And I noticed there's a lot of positivity around United this season, and I like it, and that's great. But there was deserved criticism last year. And also, I don't think Harry Maguire's been treated badly at all. He started the season. He started both games and he got dropped. And Varane and Martinez have been fantastic. I haven't really heard anybody saying, get out of my club, you bag of cement, or, your fridge or anything like that. That's sort of gone. I think there's a positive vibe around United, and I don't really see toxicity towards Luke Shaw or Harry Maguire or Rashford or Bruno that was there last year. I just think people go, well, you're not in the team, you don't deserve to be in the team, and if you do get in the team, you'll deserve it, because we haven't got a manager who picks favourites anymore. So it was a bit of a shame, because it was badly timed. We're at a point now where I don't really notice on Twitter or wherever else United fans are talking, whether it's forums or whatever. I don't really notice a lot of negativity. In fact, I was calling it out this morning in relation to De Gea. We don't need to go down that road again. So I would implore you as fans not to get involved in it, not to react to it. Just take it as somebody who's probably naively said something that they really shouldn't have said. And, but the strong message in there is that the players are just focused on what the manager's saying, and that's important. But of course, fans have every right to say that player shouldn't play, that player shouldn't play. It'd be a sad football world when football fans can't have an opinion on their team, because that's what makes football so great. But the players 100% do need to block it out. They need to focus on what Ten Hag is saying, and they need to focus on, what needs to happen. Because to be honest with you, if you want my honest opinion on Brandon Williams, I'd sell him, which is what was going to happen in the summer. I haven't seen a player that's good enough. But maybe we're going to see a new Brandon Williams, because we've seen a new Delo, we've seen a better McTominay. Maybe we're going to see a new Brandon Williams who's going to apply himself and show his talent and force himself into Ten Hag's plans, and then he'll get the praise he deserves. Good to be back watching United stand after a 10-day morning, says Liam Devon Red. Thank you very much, Liam. I hope you're okay. I want to like and support these players, but they don't do themselves any favours when they lack introspection on why fans criticised them last year, says Stephen. Park the bus and hit on the counter mark. Use speed as United's Rashford. Bad on the ball, but can hurt them with his pace, says Cristiano Ronaldo. And Jack Hammer says, well done on the Sidemen match, mate. Chuffed for you. Good. Well, yeah, we'll have to have a think about those tactics at some point, won't we? But look, Brandon is very active on social media. He definitely takes notes from what's below the comment section, says many of you. Yeah, but they all do. They all do. And look, this is what I mean. Like the modern footballer has challenges. Bruno this morning betrayed that he's on social media. I know for a fact many footballers of many clubs are on social media. I know England internationals at other clubs who watch certain shows. I know, players who play for teams that have won the title in the last couple of years who watch certain shows. I've had Laporta at Man City interacting with a FIFA stream of mine. So, but what you've got to remember is there are so many pictures at full time in the dressing room where James Milner for Liverpool is stood there looking at the whole dressing room and they're all on their phone. What do you think they're doing on the phone? They're not playing Tetris. They're not messaging, their missus. They're on social media. Who's on social media? You. They're not waiting for Gary Lineker to do a tweet, are they? They're looking at what people are saying on social media. That is what they do. It's hilarious when they say we don't take any notice of the outside world because you're bloody always on social media. Everybody knows you are. You're always on it. So I don't think you should take notice of it. As I said this morning, when Bruno Fernandes is saying, people are talking about my passing stats, but in this game I was good in that game. People are talking about I played well in this game, but I only scored. I was actually better in the game that we lost. You're listening. You're absorbing it. It's difficult, isn't it? Because, I remember when we had Paul Ince on last year and he was saying, I don't know whether he said it on the video, but he certainly said it to me, that we didn't really take any notice of the papers and stuff because ultimately the only opinion that mattered was your teammates and yours and your managers. And we had a siege mentality. I don't think you can have that siege mentality now because they're so locked in. The modern person is so locked in on social media and they have so much spare time. Do you think that they can avoid it? So you've got to manage it. And the way I would manage it is the way I've said to certain players before is that it's there. If you choose to read it, you've got to be very thick-skinned because you will always note, you can read 10 nice comments and the one that's horrible will cut you deep and then it will affect your mood. The way to deal with it is to not go looking for it. I mean, you can't avoid social media, but if you're using social media because you want people to give you a pat on the back, then, the only way you're going to get that is by, looking inside yourself and performing. You're not going to get it in this current United side at the moment. Well, you weren't. Who are you managing in the Sidemen matches, Charlie? YouTube All-Stars. So, but look, I thought there were some really interesting comments that came out from Bruno and Brandon Williams as well. He spoke about Ronaldo and how Ronaldo's really attentive to the players and always asking how they are and helping them develop. And Fear Naught says, God save the king. But Bruno also spoke about it as well. And he was asked about Ronaldo and him and whether they can play together. Because there's ridiculous myth. And some of our fans do it as well, that Bruno and Ronaldo can't play together. And they'll start getting little pie charts out and little graphs out. And it's like you sort of expose yourself as not really understanding the Bruno-Ronaldo relationship. Bruno Fernandes loves Ronaldo and always has, even before he came to United, when he's with Portugal, etc. And Ronaldo has a good relationship with Bruno. And it was interesting to listen to what Bruno said about Ronaldo. And he said, look, I'm no better when Ronaldo's not on the pitch than I am with him on the pitch. And in fact, I prefer playing with him because it's Cristiano Ronaldo and people tend to mark him more tightly than they do another United striker. So I get more space. So again, it is a player reacting to something, but it's also, I find these things interesting. I mean, I don't know what Man United think about Brandon Williams or Bruno's comments over the last couple of days. Maybe they like them, maybe they don't. But I'm certainly glad that they've done it because it just gives you a little bit of glimpse. It gives you a little bit of glimpse into the dressing room and how these players are acting and, what they're thinking. And I still think that there is a little bit in that dressing room of a weak mentality. Of course there's going to be. You can't just flick a switch. But I do think it's a glimpse into the problems of last season when you listen to just some of the things that Bruno said and some of the things that Brandon Williams said, that there is still this, wafer thin shield that can be penetrated very easily. And then the blame starts, isn't it? The bottom line is with Harry Maguire this season is that if I was a Man United player and I got asked about Harry Maguire and I genuinely had to answer it, I'd say, look, Harry Maguire's the captain. He's a top player. He's a top lad. But we've got a fantastic squad at the moment and Harry's on the bench and he'll be working hard not to do that. But ultimately, Varane and Martinez are doing fantastically well, and that's what you want. You want competition for places, and this is what it is. you know, there's not a negative with that. Do you think Williams lied? He never had a chance to meet Ronaldo. Last year he was loaned out, and when he came back, he was an injury. Congratulations, says Pinner. I don't think he's lying. No, I think he would have crossed times with him. Drisk says it's amazing they're so quick to rush to Harry's defence, yet foreign players get crucified and no one stands up for them. Andrew Fletcher, welcome to the Members Club there. Christian Eriksen also, I mean, I want to get into your questions, but Christian Eriksen has also been speaking as well. And Malacia as well. Malacia's comments were more, you know, Andrew Fraser, thanks for being a member for 2 months. Malacia was talking about how he's settling in and, you know, things are going well. And then Christian Eriksen was basically saying that he's played in lots of positions in his career, but number 8 is the position that suits him the most. And then he was asked about how people said that he was coming in as another Juan Mata and now he's been likened to Paul Scholes. And he said, look, you know, at the end of the day, as an outsider, you hear a lot of bad things and a lot of good things about Manchester United, but when you come there, you learn the truth. And being, being associated with Paul Scholes ain't a bad thing. Mark, will you wear United full kit with cleats and shin guards if we get 5,000 people to sign a petition? Says Akrama. Why am I doing that? And Damon says, I actually rate Brandon Williams. In that season, he played loads under Ollie. I think he actually done really well. Cannot believe the decline. Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't. That was not the point of talking about this. I wanted to talk about, you know, footballers speaking out in general, and I think it's a good thing when you get honesty, because it generates, you know, it gives you a little insight in what's going on. I mean, look, it's well known that Twan Sebi, Brandon Williams, James Garner, were all up for sale this summer. All products of the youth system and all up for sale this summer. Obviously, Garner went. I think that was a mistake. But Twan Sebi got injured and Brandon Williams got injured, so they didn't go. And I mean, there was always a rumour that Brandon Williams is on quite a lot of money handed to him by the Solskjaer regime. I don't know how much it is, but I think it's meant to be about 50 grand a week. That's a ridiculous amount of money for somebody who's not even a Premier League established left back, isn't it? We put him on a silly contract, really. And fair play to him, well done. You know, you can't knock the lad, well done for getting it. And he did come into the team and he did do very well, and he competed against Luke Shaw, and a lot of people wanted him to be the left back. And then he suddenly just fell off a cliff, and then he went to Norwich and did okay to average. But I said it at the time. I think Brandon Williams started off quite well, but fucking internet again. What's it doing? Has the stream gone down? Because I'm getting fed up of this. It's back again now. Sarvesh, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. You've been a member for 26 months. I just want to see if this settles down. It looks like it's okay. Yeah, it's up and down again. I think it's all right. Cutting out a little bit. Oh, it's so annoying when it does this. No, we're still live. It's breaking up a little bit. Ground control to Major. I don't know why it does this. Right. Let me know if it's working now. I mean, it's still fucking doing it. How can it do it? I'm on different internet. It makes no fucking sense. I've just changed the internet provider. How can it not work? Oh my fucking God. It absolutely doesn't even make sense now. Oh, God. Modern technology pisses me off. I've gone from one internet provider to another and it's still doing it. It makes absolutely no sense. Right, this should work now. Getting hot under the collar. Yeah, this should be working absolutely fine. Still doing it though. Somebody just says it's worse. I don't know. It might actually be a problem with the streaming service, to be fair, because I've just gone from one to another. I mean, this is it's going on my nerves as well. Right, it might have settled now. Let's have a look. We might have settled it. I think it might be back. Yeah, I don't need better internet, bro. Oh, it's fucking done it again. How can it fucking do this? It makes no sense. I've literally just gone from one internet provider to another. You can't both be doing exactly the same thing at the same time. It makes no sense. Right, I'm going to carry on because I don't know how long we're going to get left on this. We've only been going for 21 minutes. Right, as soon as I start talking, it's going red and orange and yellow again. Who's your player of the month? Varane, Sancho or Eriksen, says Lars. I think I'd probably give it to Eriksen, Lars, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I probably would. Probably would. I don't know about you. In fact, let's do a little bit of a poll on that. Player of the month, who would you go with? POTM. Varane, Eriksen, or Sancho. Get your vote in there. There we go. Yeah, so what I was saying about Brandon Williams, I think in relation to Brandon Williams, it's an interesting one because I feel that he was a good player at one point, and yeah, you know, with a young player, sometimes you can be a good player and then you get figured out. And I don't know whether he sort of got figured out a little bit, maybe because he did have a really good initial good period, and then suddenly it sort of went a little bit wrong, didn't it? So I don't know. I suppose the potential is that just the same as any other player under Ten Hag, he may be able to get a player out of him. There's certainly a spot there. You know, if I was Brandon Williams, I would go right back, and you're never going to get left back now because you've got Malacia and Shaw there. I would go right back, and I would try and get my career back on track there. That's what I would do, because he is right-footed. I don't like right-footed left backs. I know it can be done, but you know, I personally, I know he was up for sale. Twansebi was up for sale. Wan-Bissaka was up for sale. We couldn't find buyers for them. Maybe in Brandon Williams' case, it was the injury. Maybe it was the wages. I don't know, but he's going to have a little bit of a chance if he can get himself back fit to get into the team. And you know, I mean, ideally he moves to right back and becomes world class, because then you don't have to buy a right back. But there'll be a lot of people who don't think that's going to happen. Maybe Twansebi comes back from injury and becomes world class as well. You know, then you know actually, out of the two, Twansebi probably has the traits to be the sort of centre-back that we need as a backup for Varane and Martinez. But he was up for sale in the summer as well. So I don't know what's going to happen with these players. That they are going to be part of the squad, Twansebi and Brandon Williams, and we'll have to wait and see, you know, whether Ten Hag thinks he can get something out of them or whether he can't. It'd be simple as that. Jordan says Brandon Williams is a right back, and need to move these players on, says Melps. I mean, look, if you're offering me Denzel Dumfries or Brandon Williams, I'm taking it. If you're offering me, you know, a centre-back that's going to come in and remove Maguire and Lindelof, I'm going to take it over Twansebi. Of course I am. But Ten Hag must be given the freedom to build the squad that he wants to build ultimately, and that's what it's all about. But as I said, I don't really have a problem with players speaking out. You've just got to expect the consequences. It's like anything in life, isn't it? If you put an opinion out there, some people are going to agree with it. Some people are going to absolutely slaughter you for it. It's just how it is. But what I would say in defence of these idiots on Twitter, because there are some idiots on Twitter, but in the vast majority, they're just people who support the club and have an opinion on it, and you can't really knock that. I've heard people like Ronaldo and Pogba in the past speak about criticism from fans, and they've said at the end of the day, they're fans of the club. They've got their opinions. That's their right. I'm my own biggest critic, and I'll deal with the critics in that way on whether I think I'm doing what I need to do. I don't need to listen to any other noise. Somebody said it to me. Is it a little bit worrying that you've got a player coming out sort of saying that we don't take any notice of these idiots? And I said, well, it's only a worry if that's the view of most of the dressing room. If they're sat there in the dressing room or the canteen going, look at these idiots on Twitter slagging us off, that's a bit of a worry, because the vast majority of people who are criticising the players, whether it's those fans singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt" or it's social media, they're doing it from a place of being, diehard United fans who aren't happy with the way these players are playing and don't think they're good enough. You can't just sit. What I'm saying is, you can't sit there and go, I know better than the fans of this club because I'm on 200 grand a week. I know better because I'm training in a United shirt. That's not how it works. Many of these players will stay being Man United fans when they retire. You look at some of the players in the industry now. They weren't United fans until they became United players. But some players, they're just here for the money to develop, to play football, and then when they leave, they'll go to another club and they'll never be a United fan again. So, players are the life of the club, of course they are, but the fans are the life and soul of the football club. And it's always a dangerous thing when you start trying to identify what fans you're going to listen to and what fans you're not going to listen to, I suppose. But ultimately, I didn't really have a problem with anything that came out today. I just thought it was quite interesting. And I think it's always quite refreshing when you get an opinion of a football fan. I'm getting to the point where I'm just getting fed up with this stream, so I'm probably just going to stop it because it's getting on my nerves. Who is playing on the YouTube All-Stars? Well, I can only really reveal one who's actually tweeted about it and said, I'm going to be managing them, which is, I do know some of the players, but I'm not going to reveal it because it's not my place to do it. But obviously, Castro has come out and said something. Mark, the provider isn't always responsible for the underlying infrastructure. If the underlying infrastructure has an issue, the ISP won't make a difference. Cheers, says Francois. Thank you very much. There you go, technical. Arahu said, Palestri has been amazing on Uruguay's training. Shouldn't he be someone Eric Ten Hag should be looking at? Can't see how he gets in the team, though, says Mario Franco. Well, Palestri's another player that is surplus to requirements and picked up an injury. Twansebi, Brandon Williams, Palestri all got injuries in July that prevented them being sold or loaned. And Palestri was definitely a player that was going to get loaned. It's interesting because every time he goes on international duty with Uruguay, he does really well. But he can't get a look in at United. I've got to say, I do think that Palestri and Ahmad are two of the weirdest signings we've ever done. Very, very talented young players, but I don't know why they were bought. It made no sense. It was the summer where we tried to get Sancho and we didn't. Was it just desperation? We must have scouted them because they weren't obvious signings. One's from Uruguay and one was from the Atalanta sort of bench, really, coming through. So I never would have predicted that they both not do very well. I would have definitely said that they both won't do very well. But, I expected one of them to be sort of nurtured through. And there was just there never seemed to be a plan for either of them. And I think that's the shame for me, that there just never seemed to be a plan for either of them. Paul says Ollie made no sense. Well, yeah, a year later he brings Jadon Sancho in and then doesn't really know how to use him either. So, yeah, it was... I believe there's still a player in Ahmad, and I believe there's still a player in Palestri. Whether they will be players at Manchester United or not, I don't know. And ultimately, are they the sort of players that Ten Hag wants? We haven't really seen... Where is Ahmad now, anyway? Did he go? He did go on loan, didn't he? Were they bought as a salon commodity, says Jay? Well, the trouble with, Palestri could well end up being a bit of, you get your money back. But... managing speed will be peak entertainment. I'm looking forward to it. I've got my dressing room speech ready. It's they're not developed, says Sahil. He's on loan at Sunderland, and I don't think he's necessarily starting games for Sunderland either. But 35 million, as Brian said, was what we paid for Ahmad, and it's a lot of money. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, my honest, I don't know. I don't sense that Ahmad or Palestri have got a future at Manchester United, but I would like to think that at least one of them have, and if they don't, both do. You've done your vote for who should be the player of the month. It was Varane, Eriksen and Sancho. You went with Eriksen. I applaud you. I would have gone with Eriksen. I do think Varane's been fantastic, but Eriksen has been fundamental to Manchester United this season. And yeah, I think that, funnily enough, if Varane gets injured, we're in trouble. And if Eriksen gets injured, we're in big trouble. They are two really important players to that team. And I was really pleased that after the Sheriff game, Ten Hag came out and bigged up Varane. Not only is he playing well as a centre-back, he also identified and communicated publicly just how important Varane is to the way that they want to play as well. So yeah, it is great to see. In my opinion, Eriksen has been better than Martinez this season, says Thomas. I think all three of them are doing fantastically well. So long may it continue. I'm looking forward to next season, really. I'm going to stop because I can't explain how frustrating it is. Basically, on OBS, you have a green light when everything's fine. And it just keeps going green, red, and it starts to drain on your mental health to see it. So it's just winding me up. I don't know why it's doing it. It's not an internet issue, Bob, because I actually changed provider halfway through because I've got two, and they wouldn't both be down at the same time. So I imagine if I close this down and reload it again, it'll be absolutely fine. But obviously, if I do that, it will stop the stream, and I don't want to stop the stream and have to do a new one. So I think we'll just stop it there for night. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Don't forget to watch the video this afternoon I did. 5 goalkeepers that could come in the summer. Some really good options there. Some fantastic comments on it. Check it out. And then in the comments, leave us your top 3. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support on the news that I'm going to be managing in the Sidemen charity game as well. Really appreciate that. I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit more in the coming days. But take care, everyone.